Hello, and thank you for joining me in Completing Christ as we finish up the book of Colossians today. Boy, it's been a journey, and I hope it's been good for you. I know it has been for me, and I just want to say thank you for walking through the book of Colossians with me. One of my favorite books in the Bible. I love Paul's letter to the church at Colossae, and I know the Lord has really used this book in my life, and I pray that He has and will continue to use it in yours. Let's go down to verse 16 as we finish out chapter 4, verses 16 through 18. It says, when this letter is read among you, let it also read it in the church of the Laodiceans, and you, for your part, read my letter concerning that is coming from Laodicea. And he says this, say to Archippus, take heed to the ministry which you have received in the Lord, that you may fulfill it. I, Paul, write this greetings with my own hand. Remember my imprisonment. Grace be with you. It's a phrase in there that really sticks out to me that he says, look, that take heed to the ministry which you have received in the Lord, that you may fulfill it. The thing that the truth here that I believe that sometimes we misunderstand is that ministry is not achieved, but that ministry is received. All right, well, what do you mean by that? When we say that ministry is received, not achieved, what we're talking about. Ministry is not something that we have to accomplish. Ministry is God-given, and ministry should be an overflow of my love relationship with Jesus. I don't have to go out looking to make ministry happen. As I walk in relationship with the Lord, through my relationship with Jesus, and I live surrendered, what I begin to realize is that God is at work. God is always at work. God puts people in my life. He puts people in my path. He puts opportunities in my path. He shows me, He reveals to me where He is working, and He's asking me to simply join Him. I don't have to go out and drum up and ministry opportunities. God places them in our lives all the time. And as we walk with Him, what we begin to recognize is that He places people in situations and circumstances in our path where He desires to use us to minister to other people in ways that we probably never thought of or never could work up ourselves. So ministry is not something that we have to accomplish. Ministry is received. We walk in a surrendered life, letting Jesus be Jesus in us, and we simply trust God to place those opportunities before us. Man, I can't tell you of the number of opportunities, man, just over and over again, God has placed people and opportunities in our path as we simply just walk with Jesus and we trust Him. You see, my responsibility is to live a surrendered life. My responsibility is to let Jesus be Jesus in me. And then God takes care of the rest. He places those opportunities before us. And He allows us to function in the areas where that we're gifted. And He uses the gifts that He's given us to advance His kingdom, to share the gospel, and to make disciples of all nations. And I think sometimes that we think ministry is something that we have to do. No, it's not. It's something we get to do, and it's something that God places in our lives as we simply walk with Him. It's real easy for me, it's real easy for us to get caught up in doing, instead of who I am becoming. Remember, God is more concerned about who I am becoming than what I am doing. If I am becoming the man He desires for me to be, if I abide in Him, He abides in me. As I walk with Him and I live surrendered and I let Jesus be Jesus in me, He begins to use us in ways we never dreamed or imagined for His honor and for His glory and for His name's sake. Remember, ministry is not achieved. Ministry is received. And as we walk with Him, He fulfills that and He brings it to a reality in our life, because God is constantly at work. He's constantly working in and through our lives, and He's placing us in those God-given positions to be used for His honor and for His glory and for His name's sake. And the last thing I would say is that as Paul ends this book, he says this. He says, remember where I am. He says, grace be with you, but you remember that I'm in prison. Now again, why is Paul in prison? Paul's in prison because he loved Jesus and he spoke the truth. You see, this walking with Jesus is not always easy, but He will be faithful as we simply trust Him and we walk with Him. Look how He used Paul from prison to encourage other people and to challenge other people and to teach the truth. You know, as I think about the book of Colossians, this is what I think about. Christ in you, the hope of glory. You know, He told the church in chapter 1, He says, you got to remember this. You got to get this, that it's Christ in you, the hope of glory. It's Jesus in me and in you doing in our lives what we're incapable of doing ourselves. And in Christ alone, we are complete. That is in Jesus, in this relationship with Jesus, that we're fulfilled and we're satisfied and we really find what we're looking for. We will not find it anywhere else. You know, and the thing the Lord has impressed upon me is that I spend my days proclaiming Jesus, admonishing people through the truth of His word, and teaching all people that in Christ and Christ alone, you are complete. As we simply walk, letting Jesus be Jesus in us today. As we close out the book of Colossians, I would just remind you that Christianity is not me trying to do things for God. And it becomes very, very evident in the book of Colossians. But Christianity is a relationship with the maker of heaven and earth through the provision of Jesus, where He comes and lives inside of me to do life through me. Christianity is not me doing things for Him, but Christianity is simply the life that Jesus lived then. He lives now in and through His people. Go let Jesus be Jesus in you today and walk surrendered to Him and stand amazed at the ministry opportunity He's placed before you and how He uses you to make much of Him and to make Him known. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much for watching Complete in Christ as we strive to teach you about the Christ life. We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and may you have a blessed day walking with Jesus.